Next item on the agenda is Netta. Now, Netta, I can't pronounce your surname, so sorry. Of Mortlock McCormick Law and Julie Comfort of Davy Lovell Smith, speaking to item 48, Halswell Commons Homestead Development Contributions Remission Application. Thank you.
Ngā mihi nui a te marea councillors, and thank you for your time today to discuss our remission application. I'm Netta from Mortlock McCormick Law, and I've got Julie Comfort here from Davy Lovell Smith. Simon Mortlock sends his regards from Washington DC. Despite the distance, he is obviously very interested in the outcome of this meeting. The remissions application report made a number of points which I just want to touch on to begin with. Firstly, that the council has the ability to remit development contributions in exceptional circumstances. The council has also requested further financial information, and we're happy to provide this on request. The Heritage Park, which will benefit the development and the community, is the matter of the remissions application, and that the statement of commitment that was signed by Danny Mora made no provision for what is being requested, both the remission but also the actual charging of the development contribution. I just want to start with a little bit of context about the development, Halswell Commons. This development is an exemplar development identified through the Land Use Recovery Plan. It is unique in that of the 6 proposed exemplar developments initiated after the earthquake, this is the only private one proceeding and by far the largest scale. The remainder have found the exemplar process too complex, expensive and time consuming. This exemplar development is offering a mixed medium density development incorporating affordable housing with high public amenity. It has arisen out of a commitment from the Christchurch City Council to work in partnership with Danny Mora to provide a role model for future developments in Christchurch. Some examples of exemplar elements of this development include the collaboration with the Food Resilience Network to create a network of community gardens, affordable housing scheme in collaboration with Wayne Francis Charitable Trust, which will provide affordable shared ownership housing arrangements for low-income families, public spaces which will be funded and managed by the residents of Halswell Commons, both residential and commercial. All homes will be a minimum of Homestar 6 rated, and the housing design will be sympathetic to neighbouring dwellings. The commitment between the council and Danny Mora has led to the signing of the statement of commitment. This document was entered into on the expectation that there would be no development contributions payable for the Heritage Park, and in return Danny Mora is not seeking any contribution from council for this reserve, which will be managed by the developer and the Residents Association. While the statement of commitment doesn't make specific reference to this agreement, it doesn't discuss the Heritage Park in detail, but rather talks about higher level commitments to the quality of the development. And this document was considered to be a living document whereby the parties would work collaboratively to ensure the success of this exemplar development and work in good faith to overcome any problems. The agreement not to charge development contributions for the Heritage Park was seen to be a given. The proposal at hand currently is not in the spirit of this agreement and the working relationship we've had to date. Danny Mora continues to be committed to the exemplar development, and this has led them to create 22% of their housing as affordable housing and have residents managing their public space in order to increase the quality of the amenities beyond what the council has capacity to provide currently. Danny Mora is providing enhanced amenities at Halswell Commons at little extra obligation to our council. Just to be clear, this request for a remission of development contribution is only in reference to the Heritage Park. The circumstances surrounding this application for remission are unique. This development is the only private exemplar development, and Danny Mora gains no economic benefit from retaining and developing the lodge as a cafe. In fact, they will be doing so at a significant financial loss. However, they see this development as providing a significant community benefit, providing the area with a real point of difference by retaining some of the heritage, as this area has had very little retention of heritage buildings. The development of the Heritage Park is not integral to the Halswell Commons. The development already has sufficient amenities in the adjoining commercial area. The council and Danny Mora view this Heritage Park as providing a vibrant and distinctive community hub for residents and visitors to the area alike. From an economic perspective, it would make more sense for Danny Mora to demolish the building and either provide a for-purpose modern building, not develop the area at all, or fill it with housing. However, we are committed to creating a trend-setting development which incorporates desirable living elements. I also want to note that the development contribution which is proposed in this report is based on a special assessment for the transport component, which results in significantly high household unit equivalent figure for the cafe in comparison to if the assessment had been for a cafe that was located in the adjoining commercial area or under previous development contribution policies. Under either of these scenarios, the proposed contribution would be some $100,000 less. It really puzzles us why the decision for a driver to turn left rather than right would result in the developer incurring such increased costs. We wish to end this on a note that should the development contribution be charged in full, then the council would not actually receive the advantage of this contribution, as the project just cannot proceed. There is no scenario where the council will receive the full contribution proposed in the report. It is just not feasible for Dannemora. Should the remission be granted or a significant reduction, then the benefits to the council and the residents of Christchurch can enjoy include the retention of a heritage building and the creation of a vibrant community hub in the Halswell Commons. We remain committed to providing an exemplar development with council as per the terms of our statement of commitment, and we look forward to working closely with council on this matter. We're open for any questions councillors may have.
Questions? Glenn, Phil.
Can you give us an indication, please, of what the affordable component, so that's 22%, of the overall development, what you anticipate the units will go for, or will you be aiming for, with and without the DCs?
So we've got two components to our affordable housing model. That's working with the Wayne Francis Charitable Trust.
Yeah.
Sorry, this remission is in relation to the cafe, it's not in relation to the affordable housing. They're not seeking a remission in relation to their housing component.
Okay, I'm looking at the wider context though.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's split into two parts. One is 10% of homes. This, by the way, is all in the statement of commitment, which we signed last year. And we're looking at those homes having a capital value of up to $455,000. Which will be under a shared ownership arrangement with the Wayne Francis Trust, and the focus of that charitable trust is actually to benefit young people. So we're looking at ways to help young people get their first home, or young families to ensure healthy living circumstances for families. The other sort of component is what's called appropriate scale by design. So there'll be sort of houses which by design will be more affordable because they'll be using materials or design techniques which allow them to be cheaper, and these will be ranging between, these are sort of more smaller apartment units, and that's $200,000 to $370,000. $200,000 to $370,000.
Okay. Yep.
Is what we're hoping for.
Okay. Thank you. That's it.
Phil?
Thank you. My question was along the same lines, and just if you could give us some further clarification about those. So are you're saying that, was it 20% of them would be small units?
So 22% will be affordable housing, and that's mixed into two models. One is cheaper by design. The other one is to create sort of a shared ownership model where the Wayne Francis Trust helps certain families into homes.
And the price range that you're estimating for those would be within that figure you gave us, 200 to 370,000.
That's what we're currently aiming for, of course.
And about what would be the size of those units? Are you able?
So again, I would highly recommend you check out our statement of commitment, but we've got a selection of different types of units. We've got 3-bedroom units with 120 square metres internal, that's over 2 stories. We've got 2-bedroom units that are 90 square metres in total, which again is usually over 2 stories. We've got some 2-storey apartment buildings, which will all be adjoined units, and we've also got some smaller sort of standalone housing as well. There is a lot of detail about that proposal for the affordable housing in our statement of commitment.
Thank you. But as you say, this is not a request in relation to
no,
the
not at all. This
housing
is actually purely for the heritage
what
part.
councillors are keen to see is the development in its context, its wider context.
That's right.
But this issue is about.
This is the heritage part, which is the Spraydon Lodge. The lodge is a heritage building, but it's not heritage listed building, so it wouldn't be
which means that you could knock
demolish
it down tomorrow without
Exactly.
any.
And to be honest, there is a huge financial loss to Dannemora in carrying out this cafe project, but they do see this as a huge amenity to the development and to people in Christchurch.
Yeah, I agree.
So, I'm not sure why you didn't bring it to us on that you've included informal housing in the context. Why, in fact, you didn't see that as a key factor to apply for the remission of the DCs?
No, the DCs is just for the
Heritage Park.
This is just this part you're asking for.
But
Yeah,
Spraydon Lodge is not on our list of heritage buildings. And in a way, if it were, then we would be having a slightly different conversation. But you could knock it down tomorrow,
We
you
can.
don't want to. And you're telling us that there's an enormous additional cost to the development
Very much
to
so.
actually do what you're proposing to do. And you'd like us to remit the DCs on the basis that it's an exceptional set of circumstances and it's the only remaining exemplar project. Would that be a fair enough summary?
Yes, I'd say so. And I think in the context of the wider working relationship with council on this development, affordable housing being one of those examples, we've got a fantastic working relationship. We are really trying to set a new trend in development in Christchurch, and here is an example of how we can do that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see an exemplar inside the 4 avenues as well. We were going to have one with those at one point, but I'd love to see that. But, you know, I mean, all go. I mean, we've got to the 10 minutes, but you need a question, okay?
One question, based on your application, the paragraph 10, actually your intention is the kind of fully remission or just a reduction?
Our preference is definitely a remission.
Yeah, but
That's what we're
regarding
requesting.
to the DC, you know, what's the difference between the fully the remission and also the reduction?
Well, in the
what's
end,
difference?
this project is not financially viable, so anything that we can do to make it more likely to go through would help. So full remission would mean that we can push it through as a project which shows partnership between council and Danny Mora. A reduction, it would have to crunch the numbers and see if it stacks up.
So if we turn, is that done for questions? Because thank you very much for your presentation, and we'll get staff to the table to take your place. Thank you.
Thank you,
for
councillors,
that.
for your time this morning.
And we'll go straight to item 48, and I think that there might be somebody who'd like to approve the application for the remission of development contributions. Is there anyone of that mind? Oh, Vicky Buck would like to move that. Would Jimmy Chen like to second that?
Yeah, but I would like to ask a question staff.
Yes, you can, but
I still would like to, yeah.
are you happy to second the motion
okay,
to approve the full remission of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
development contributions?
yeah.
Okay, staff. Jimmy, fire away.
I just want to know that if we take the option 2, you know, if the council approve fully remission, whether they are total consistent with the DC policy,
Doesn't need the word full remission.
or only the option 3 and
Yeah,
option
sorry.
1 is comply with the DC policy. How about option 2?
So that's the decision that needs to be made today. So it's consistent with the DC policy if the council consider it to be unique and compelling circumstances for this remission. So that's what needs to be decided. Whichever way you go, it is consistent with the policy if you decide it meets that clause.
Is it the only exemplar?
Yes, the only remaining. There was
Yeah.
proposed the Ngai Tahu development at the Riccarton Racecourse was
Yeah.
going to be a second exemplar.
Exemplar.
Okay, but regarding the figure between the fully remission and the reduction regarding DC the revenue for council, how much difference? Okay.
They've supported the first one, so
Yeah.
sorry,
All
mate.
right. So, yes.
So just in moving it and in speaking to it, this has to be unique and compelling. This is unique in that it's the only exemplar that is left. I've met with Simon and others, Simon Mortlock and others on this. I have to say it does not make financial sense to do what they are doing. They are doing it to create amenity value in the subdivision, and I like the fact that they are doing everything that they're doing in this exemplar. 6-star house, 6-star Homestead was actually what we sought in the district scheme, remember, and the government decided it wasn't a good idea. The whole community gardens, the affordable housing, the first example of shared equity on any scale in Christchurch, which I love, the affordable housing. I think this is stunning and is in direct contrast to the earlier development over the road, which was developed without cafes or anything, which was just... but this has thought through how you develop a community, how you build a community. In that way, it is unique and compelling. This does not qualify for a heritage or historic places grant because it is not listed as one, but is highly regarded within the community and is definitely worthy of conservation and of creating the amenity value that this does. I'm very happy to move that the council approve a full remission because of the unique and compelling circumstances.
Yep. Yanni, then Glenn.
Just get clarification.
Oh, sorry. We're debating it now. Oh, honestly, we thought... Nobody put their hand up for other questions. Vicky she said I'll move it and debate it.
Okay, well, I'll debate it. So I think I understand all the reasons why they would like a DC rebate, and I do think it is unique and compelling. But I actually think the bigger question here is how on earth are we calculating $143,000 of development contributions for a cafe? That is, to me, an absolutely incomprehensible amount to be charging. I could understand it for a massive supermarket, shopping mall complex, but $143,000 being charged for turning an existing building into a cafe, I just cannot comprehend at all. So the question I was going to ask that I won't ask, but I think that actually the reason why I'll support this remission or waiving or whatever you want to call it is actually I just can't justify this quantum of DC. And if you align that to this is the only exemplar that's going on, I think it's worthy of support. My understanding was that we could do development agreements with developers around different aspects, including the level of DC charges, and so I'm a bit puzzled as to why we couldn't have sorted that out through that arrangement rather than a formal report to council. But that being said, I think it's important to acknowledge that the building itself will not retain its significant heritage, but it will actually be kept in the scale and the context. And I guess that's the challenge that we face post-earthquake with a lot of heritage buildings, is to get a practical use, and sometimes we have to compromise, and obviously in this case that's what's been suggested. So I think it's really good, and I just want to end with the comment that was made about the Aidenfields development, for example, where we had a beautiful old farmhouse. Wouldn't it have been wonderful if for that development they'd kept that as a market garden or a cafe, and the character and the local shops and the local cafes that people really like. Instead, what we ended up funding a memorial in its place while it was demolished and housing went on it. So contrast that approach to this approach. My preference is for this approach, and I'm very happy to support it.
Very good. Glenn.
Thank you. I know this is about the cafe, but the original recommendation gave us some context where it said as part of the Halswell Commons exemplar medium density housing project. For me, it does meet the test of being unique, given that it is the only exemplar project to get close to be getting off the ground. We know from others that DCs on this could be the make or break of a project, and Gary Moore, for one, was happy to have that conveyed today over his attempts to try and get affordable housing across the line. We note in here too that with the cafe, with what we do in our housing, it's about community and having context. So we know that if we are going to promote affordable housing, we can't just do it in isolation. It must be as part of a community. I think that's also another very strong factor here. Finally, I think it's also our job at times to get out of the way, to make things happen, not just to be proactive and promote things, but actually to get out of the way and this is a good thing to do, to get out of the way, to actually allow this to go ahead. And I urge your full support for that recommendation.
Very good. All right, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. It's carried. Thank you very much.